Hey guys, without wasting your time, here's what we are diving into today.
We'll never teach you any software tools. You have to learn it on your own. Nobody's learning that shit on their own. People are having fun in college.
We are talking about designing footwear using AI with Kedar Benjamin and how the younger generation is moving faster, thinking smarter, building aesthetics and artificial intelligence.
Okay, let's start with the first question. Um, and very interesting way how you actually designed one of the shoes, which was through AI. Uh, Tell us which tool you used. How did you come up with it, and how did it end up being one of the shoes which was painted in the end?
Okay, so this shoe is Basilisk. It's
Mm-hmm.
the world's first, maybe the first, but it is the first AI designed 3D printed shoe that you can buy on the market. That's for sure. And it's probably one of the first AI designed products that's available on the market commercially. I started in July or August of 2022 when DALL-E just came out. I made an image with DALL-E. I posted it on my Instagram. Cornelius, the CEO of Zellerfeld, saw it and he was like, "Can we make this real?" And then he, one of his investors was Sam Altman, who also he sent it to him and he was like, "What's stopping you from making it real?" And then we got on a call. We discussed how it works for them, like how they print it and everything. And then Svet from Zellerfeld, another 3D modeler, him and I, we like 3D modeled it in parallel. And whatever I was 3D modeling, since I didn't know the constraints, I would 3D model something and then I would show it to him and then he'd be like, "Okay, I like that, but to make it fit with the constraints, we have to do it this way." And then he eventually made like the final 3D model, which he handed off to me. And then I adjusted it when I was doing my traineeship. We like printed several prototypes. I think we printed three prototypes at that time. Um, got the sizing wrong on all three.
Okay.
But the like design was there. Like the design was like near perfect.
Was this your first shoe which you were printing?
No, this is not my first shoe.
Okay.
This was my second shoe that I printed.
Okay.
My first shoe was this human shoe, which was it was like it was really bad actually. But it looks pretty crazy. It looks really cool, but it's
Mhm.
really unwearable.
Okay.
And that was for this competition by Sintratech, RIP Sintratech. They're no longer around. They're this Swiss 3D printing company that does SLS printing.
Okay.
They had a competition. They like design a shoe, and we printed out and I won the competition, or I came in the top three. I don't know which one it was.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, the top three people got their shoes printed. It was like very intricate and completely unwearable. I didn't understand the manufacturing constraints. There was no indication of the manufacturing constraints.
So that was like your first printed, like manufactured shoe, right? First design.
Yeah, but it was not manufactured like mass.
So you did not like,
It was just
no, I mean,
one.
manufactured like one
Yeah,
prototype.
it's just the one.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, I did Laceless Challenge, which is another design competition. I didn't win that, but the judges liked my design a lot. And they invited me to have a traineeship at Footwearology Lab in Barcelona.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's
Were you there in Barcelona for this?
yeah
Okay.
for like 3 months I was in Europe, but not all 3 months in Barcelona. And that's where I learned about 3D printing shoes.
Mhm.
To some extent,
Okay.
maybe not all of it. I still understood the basics of 3D printing before that. Like when I was in school, I would go to this maker space in IIT Madras and like learn about 3D printing there. So I was like still very much into it from a younger age. but not the shoes aspect at all.
Right.
The
But
sh-
the making was always
yeah, the making was something that I was still interested in for a long time. And I feel like all my college professors were like, oh, no, 3D printing is just for prototyping. You can never do mass production with it. And they're all wrong. Yes.
Did you call them after this?
No, I didn't.
You should.
I will.
We will tag them.
Yeah, so we went, we prototyped it, and then we had earlier it was like fully mesh, this material,
Oh, okay.
but not exactly this, like a earlier iteration of this, but the entire thing was covered in that. But then we made a way, we figured out a way to make just the surface of the upper surface of this part get solid,
Okay.
become solid.
Hmm.
And the rest was still mesh underneath. So we figured that out. Later on, I kind of cross-reference slash shared this insight with Zellerfeld. Um, at that time, they weren't using that method. They were making like instead of just a surface, there was like a whole solid chunk in between, which was wrapped with walls. Okay, so when 3D printing anything, there's infill, which is the interior, and then there's the wall, which is the exterior, which is like,
That's the surface which is
yeah,
outside, which you see.
that's the
in
surface.
any-
And then the infill is actually this. So
Right.
this part has no walls, it's just infill. And
So infill is like the support for the walls,
yes, it's the interior. It's like the,
filling the space,
yeah, filling the space.
so that you don't really waste a lot of material using sustainable usage of material reduces, and also the support.
Yeah, and also it doesn't become heavy.
Of
And
course, like when you're talking about shoes, then yeah, it does.
yeah, and if you have more infill, it becomes harder.
Right.
And if you have less infill, it becomes softer. So you don't, but if you have walls, you can get away with having less infill inside those walls than just having infill and no walls.
Right.
So yeah, ultimately Zellerfeld chose the method, this newer method over the older method. Um, I think because in the later step of the process, when they're removing the supports, the water was getting stuck inside. And I'll explain why they have water involved in this process at all.
So basically, you were doing like a lot of back and forth once the design was done with them, right?
Yeah, with
Uh,
them.
They were supporting you and were coming up with design. Were they also telling you how to solve the problem, or were you the problem solver and then they just like supporting you with the modeling bit?
No, so after they handed off okay, wait, let me backtrack a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so the timeline is first me and Svet modeled it in parallel. He was making the final model for manufacturability. I was giving the direction in which it would go, like the soul. So we had an image that was just from the side, but we didn't know how the soul looked. So I made the soul, like the the base shape of the soul, and then he just took that and he pushed everything forward, and he made it like way less low, way easier to adjust the model. He modeled it in such a way that it was easier to adjust than what I had done. Uh,
I will also like try to understand in terms of, so you did one image. When we generate these images, like as people think when AI has come in, design becomes so much more simpler. But then that's just one image which gets generated. Then it gets to modeling. And then as you said, it's only one side of the image and you have to figure out everything else which is going along, right? Then the material comes in, all the other printability factors come in, and there's so much more. Now you figured out the shoe with them, you've done the modeling, and these big names have been coming, like the bigger companies have come in, Sam has come in, and then like all of this is happening. But at the end of the day, how much did you end up making? How was the sales for this shoe?
so I think I've sold like 150 or 140 pairs of this.
Till now?
Yeah, till now, which is not much at all.
Okay.
And I haven't spent any money on marketing at all. So that's how I justify it to myself.
Right.
But I will be spending money on marketing.
I'm just trying to put perspective on like how much goes behind to design something which is so beautiful and complex, yet complex in terms of also pushing technology so forward. But then again, what is the kind of response we are really getting from the market, right?
Mm.
As designers, you're trying to approach like how yesterday we were having this conversation with one of our friends saying AI is coming, we have to always keep learning. And you are doing that. You're the pioneer or like the face of it. But then there's so much more difficulty, right? Once you've made it as designer, you also have to understand what the marketing is, how's the business bit of it goes on. And in this whole process, you're wearing different hats,
Mm.
right? How does that work out for you?
Um, it's difficult. I don't I don't know anything about marketing. I suck at marketing. And I wish I knew more. I'm still learning. Right now I'm gonna do a shoot for these shoes
Hmm.
in Bombay in like the next on the 24th or something. And I've hopefully paid enough for that for it to be successful. But yeah, I'm starting to spend on marketing. But before I could do that, I had to get clients fund my marketing.
Right.
That's that more than buying, more than people buying shoes. This has served as like a proof of concept for people who
Right.
hire me to
Right.
design.
Yeah. Also for yourself, right? Like for you to understand how the 3D modeling works or computation works on screen, sitting behind it, to actually feeling the shoe in the hand. Like this is a final product of what you've put in for, say, 4 years or 5 years of your life.
Yeah.
Right now, I can understand what you were talking about on a screen or the rendered image or the AI image which was produced on screen, right?
Mhm.
And it takes that long. So when I'm just trying to get at like how we've simplified AI into, okay, AI is going to do everything. There's still so much work which goes behind AI or the tech, any kind of technology, if that is. Technology is just like one tool which we're using, right?
Mhm.
What's your perspective on it?
It is a tool. It's a tool which is an exponential effort um expander.
Mm.
I would say you can get a lot more done with less effort, but the quality might not be so good.
Mm.
So even if you use AI, the initial output might not be so good that you want to sell it. Might be just useless slop, and then you have to really refine it manually, or run it through a bunch of AIs that you refine it, and then you're giving them direction on how to refine it.
Right.
So yeah, there's always the refinement process. There's always a choosing. So in a way, you become less of a designer and more of a design director, maybe.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if say people are thinking you would say time T, right? Like say 2 or 3 hours
Mm.
to make something like this. Like, okay, the image is generated and then it's printed and that's about it. But then it's actually taking 10x the time because you're actually going back and forth with the image and like maybe multiple models just to say like, okay, what actually works for you, and then you model it and then you again go back to the model saying, okay, how do I refine this?
Yeah.
Uh, no, one of the most interesting thing which I keep pointing out whoever comes here, they start as some other design in some other design industry and then they end up somewhere else.
Mm.
Where did you begin?
I studied industrial design,
Mhm.
and I wanted to do uh consumer tech because that was like the cool thing, and it looked like it would make more money than doing furniture. So initially I wanted to do consumer tech, but then during COVID, I learned computational design with Design Morphine, and I think that really like helped me understand what I wanted.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Design more.
Huge shout out to Design Morphine. Very cool people. And yeah, but
Very well structured.
webinars
Webinar.
and very interesting. They're not conventional in some ways, which might not be the best. But a lot of the skills that they do teach, you can use in an industry context,
How long is one course for?
like 6 to 8 hours.
One course?
One design.
One.
No, no, no.
One whole
Web-
course I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No. If you're taking a course of shoe design.
They don't have a course of shoe design.
No,
It's
I'm
like,
saying whatever course.
oh,
How long is it for 1 month? 3 days? Or is it
it's
when
it's like one webinar.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. But if you can take a master's or a PhD there as well,
Okay.
which is like a 9-month
So you did a webinar and that's it.
I've done like a lot of their webinars.
Okay.
Not just one webinar.
That's very interesting, no? So if anybody wants to actually switch in design careers and they want to get into this, one webinar can actually give you a kind of perspective towards like if you want to head in that direction or not. This was another conversation we were having yesterday because like a lot of designers want to pivot because they've learned something and then they're like, okay, I might be interested in this. How do I switch careers? But it's a very efficient way which you actually start exploring that
Hmm.
it's 6 to 8 hours, not much of time, but then you actually understand if you want to get into it or not.
Yeah. I feel like um their webinars are very conceptual
Hmm.
and they are not like usually they don't teach you something that you can directly go and make money with, except for like a few webinars that actually do teach you that. A lot of them are like very like they'll teach you how to make conceptual designs and stuff, but the skills that you learn are like really important, and then you can apply them, and you'll also know whether it's for you for sure. And I feel like even their master's degree is um also a very conceptual master's degree. It's not like the engineering side of computational design.
Mhm.
It's more of the concept generation side of computational design, which is actually amazing.
Yeah.
Because if you're so inclined, then you can get into the engineering side, which is also maybe not something that you can do in just one master's degree.
Yeah, it might take some time. I think I'm on the other side of the computational design where I try to make things work
Mm-hmm.
rather than conceptually exaggerate things, which is beautiful. I mean, in my college, a lot of people did conceptual design and they had brilliant images at the end of the sem. But for me, it was all like at the end of the day, how do I make this work? How do I get it out like on ground to the market? Um,
And that's way more important.
it is. It is. It definitely is. But I think there's a back and forth, no?
Yeah.
If the concept field is not growing, then the applications bit also at some point kind of stagnates and you have similar designs, but then you can make them for sure. It kind of influences. You can go back and forth.
Hmm.
Like you get inspiration from the conceptual designs which are happening, and then you go back and make it. There's, I think that's very, very important. But you're also teaching,
Yeah. Not actively, but yeah.
but PA Academy.
Yeah, I have a course on PA Academy, which is about how to make Zellerfeld shoes like this, and also resin printed shoes.
Oh, yeah?
like this.
So teaching like the whole process of how you make them,
How do you 3D model them?
the whole thing, the
Yeah.
code which you showed me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. And how many days do you?
It's like 8 hours totally.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. You want to talk about these shoes because I love them.
Thank you. They're a collab with a brand called Outbreak Lab. Um, they're from Delhi, actually Faridabad.
Wow.
They're very nice people, a very young brand, very creative people. But yeah, they were posting on the Zellerfeld Discord. They were like, "Hey, can anyone 3D model a shoe for us?"
Oh, they already asked.
Huh?
They already wanted something like this.
Yeah, no, they wanted something. Yeah, they wanted something different actually. But yeah, they posted on the Zellerfeld Discord, and sorry, I just moved away from the mic. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, they posted on the Zellerfeld Discord that they wanted someone to 3D model shoes for them, and then I kind of looked them up. I saw who they were, and then I'm like, oh, they're not they're from India, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Let me see what they've done. Let me see who they are. Then I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, I can help you out. We're gonna call. They wanted to make this textured rock shaped boot.
Oh.
Um,
Is that where you
No,
plug this money?
it's different. It's different.
Okay.
And then they said we also want to do a collab. and then this is a collab. Uh, so I initially we were going to make everything with FDM printing, made in India, but that did not work out. It was very hard to make something that we could sell in, but also that was made here. Initially, now I think it is possible. Now it is possible, but yeah, earlier it was just not. Um,
How accessible it is, like the if you're saying it can be done in India now,
it can be done for sure. Like it's not that
it's
hard.
not that complex anymore.
It's not that accessible. You have to have the right manufacturing contacts and stuff, but
Doable.
it's still doable. At that time, which was like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, it was not possible. And we tried, we spent like months prototyping and it didn't work out. And we also wanted to make a barefoot shoe.
Mm.
That was my idea. I wanted to make a barefoot shoe. And I said, then eventually we had to switch to resin. Um, and to switch to resin, it has to have holes everywhere. So I was like, we can't make an outdoor shoe which is barefoot and has holes.
Why do we need the holes for resin?
So the resin is like a liquid, and when you print with resin, the liquid is like photosensitive, so you project light onto it, and it turns into solid. And within that solid area, there's the liquid, so it has to drain out, which means it needs to have holes everywhere.
Okay.
That's why resin printed shoes like the Adidas Clima Cool, I think that's the name of the shoe, has holes everywhere. That's the reason why it's called Clima Cool, because they want to market it as like a ventilated shoe.
Yeah, but that comes
that's
from the material
comes from
itself
manufacturing.
and
constraint.
the soil manufacturing.
Yeah. So we were like, we got to make it a barefoot style gym shoe
Mm.
as a like a indoor cleaning shoe, because that's what barefoot shoes are good at anyway.
Mm.
So yeah, that's how the concept came about. Initially, we used a much wider last. So last is like the inside shape of a shoe, and that's like the thing that you model it around.
Mm.
Initially, I just made one, like I just 3D modeled one, and it was not good. And then we there's an open source last called New World Grade that was made by an acquaintance of mine, and he gave us the last, and then we've been using that since. And this is the final last shape that we used for it. And yeah, it took a long time to get it to market.
Are you using different lasts for different shoes?
Yeah.
Oh, because
That's
how does that matter? Because shouldn't it be the same for all the only the feet sizes change, no?
no, the last shape is like really important to how it fits. So a barefoot shoe has no drop. There's no difference between the heel and the toe height. It's all flat. But then this has like the heel is a little bit up and then it goes down. And then for high heels, obviously it's like really high drop and the angle is also totally different.
Right.
So that really matters quite a bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, barefoot shoes are the best. They're optimal.
Where are your inspirations coming from?
For this one, we had a lot of Giger, Paco Rabanne, Mugler, the 1984 Dune movie, um, and I think a few more things. I don't really remember, but yeah. And then structurally, it's based on a few shoes. One was this Puma shoe done by Com Conception for A$AP Rocky. He has a similar Oxetic, but they use a different type of
What
structure.
Oxetic?
Oxetic is this stretchable structure here. And it's not really, it's a structure that changes shape
Okay.
under stress or pressure, essentially. But they had a different one, they had a different shaped one, and we experimented with different shapes, and we think this is the best shape so far.
How long does it take for you to from prototyping or designing to prototyping to actually get?
It depends on the complexity of the design. This has taken over a year.
I mean, this is extremely complex.
Yeah.
If I see in terms of design from this to this, this is more complex.
Yeah.
More details, more layers to it. So this took 1 year.
This took more than a year. This took like a year and a half. Year and a half-ish. And the initial version was ready within 5 months-ish, less than 5 months.
Good.
Yeah, but for clients, I've done work which was ready in like weeks. Like maybe like,
Well, it printed and like the prototypes ready in weeks.
yeah, prototypes ready in like 2-3 weeks. That was really simple stuff though. Very, very simple.
In terms of inspiration, when you're talking about this one, a lot of movies, and there was also like you got some pointers from the client as well, right?
Yeah, they gave their mood board. And I inputted my mood board because it's a collab between me and him. So we kind of chose whatever aligned between our mood boards, and then we use that.
So generally, when I asked you what kind of where do you draw your inspiration from, you said nature,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now,
This one was actually less nature. There was a lot of like reptile scales and like claws, and that's why it's called the reptilon, because it's like a reptile talent.
did you also design the name? Like
Yeah, we came up with it.
me or you?
Me.
Yeah.
But we had other words that we wanted to use,
Like?
but I don't remember. They were not significant or useful enough. I think it's one of the more cleverly named shoes that I have.
Right. It is.
Mm.
They're all very well named.
Thank you.
When we had another episode where we had really funny names, you won't talk about it. Um, from natural patterns to like these movies and all that, but at the end, you see like computational designs come down to one sort of patterns, no?
Yeah.
How are you trying to break out of it?
It's hard. You have to. What I want to do is computational design makes it very easy to make patterns that repeat, that have waves, that have all of these different kinds of natural shapes, because nature is defined by algorithms. But to make something which is not natural looking, which is very human made and purposeful, um, is quite difficult, and it takes a lot of manual tweaking to. And I haven't broken out of that yet.
Mm.
Um,
But would you want to? Because these designs are also really cool.
yeah, I do. I want to make like a dad shoe vibe shoe.
You're telling New Balance something.
Mm-hmm. No, New Balance is great. New Balance hires a lot of computational designers, even for their dad shoe stuff.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do. There's a computational designer at New Balance, Louis Leblanc. He works on their performance running shoes, but now their performance running shoe and dad shoe aesthetic is kind of merging. He has like a very difficult uh job to do, I guess, with that, but it's pretty cool.
Okay. You were talking about education. Let's get back to it.
Oh yeah.
This is the time.
Okay, so
Get all your anger out.
yeah, Srishti really needs to up their game.
Maybe too. How do you think they can? Because you're
Now,
also so you've been in like different kinds of educational setup now, academia setups, but also you are teaching.
yeah.
What difference do you see in your practice to what you were actually into before?
Well, I'm teaching a webinar which is 8 hours. That's totally different from a college.
Still, the idea, like the concept of like how do you attack it or like how do you pursue, like how do you want it to be structured? That's very important. Let that be 6 to 8 hours to even like 3 months to 9 months. Yet, I mean, it differs, of course, more to learn there, but
I was going to talk more about not the fact that it's a different structure.
Hmm.
Like obviously a college course is going to be a way different structure. It's going to be totally different. But just the mindset that people have about design is a little bit like it's it's kind of old.
Hmm.
They don't like to engage with new things. They're not very, they might say that they're excited about new technologies, but they don't have a vision about using those new technologies. Like it's like, let's be contemporary, let's see what works, but not be like, okay, what's going to be there in like 5 years when our students are graduated,
Hmm.
or what's going to be there in 10 years when our students are both graduated and kind of like working
Yeah.
already. It's there's also this obsession with craft, which I think there are two problems with it. There's a social aspect to that problem, and then there's just the industrialization aspect to this problem. So our obsession with craft, I think, is hampering our industrialization, which is lower, which has a negative effect on our GDP per capita as a country, and it also just makes um it just prevents us from industrializing in the way that would have a positive material effect on everyone's life. So people, at least in Srishti and maybe in NID to an extent, are very craft oriented. They're like, let's preserve Indian crafts. Let's orient our students towards Indian crafts, this, that. But nobody is learning how to make a Class A surface. Nobody is learning how do you make a design that can be injection molded. Nobody's teaching that. There are faculty who are teaching how to make a texture with swatches on paper with color pencils and pens, when you could be teaching them Keyshot or maybe Blender, which is better than Keyshot.
Right.
But yeah, there's just so much archaic things which are being
It
taught.
makes so much sense because it actually kind of translates into every design college.
Mm.
Like for us, we're talking about AutoCAD or like hand sketching and hand drafting to thing to Rhino and Grasshopper, say Blender. Like right now, I can pretty much any software can be in any 3D modeling industry.
Mm.
So same problems, but the same thing. If you go to the US, they are being taught these kind of softwares in first year.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, they're doing hand drafting layers like for 6 months because you need to have like that mind to hand connect when you can sketch, which is great. You should have that. But then after that 6 months, next 4.5 years of your life or 4 years of your life, you're actually learning all kinds of 3D modeling to rendering,
Yeah.
which is way more.
It should happen much faster. It shouldn't be something that I have to learn outside of college from design morphine.
Yeah.
It should have happened in first year, after maybe the first like 6 months, like you said. Like it's really stupid. Not only that, they have this obsession with craft, right? It is debilitating, because it's debilitating our ability to just become a high GDP per capita nation. Um, I think it's a real serious issue that needs to be looked into. Like, I don't know, people need to like
Why do you think
figure out
the
what
high
I because
GDP?
okay, so um, imagine if you okay, so look at China. They're producing a lot of stuff, right? And that's the reason why they lifted a lot of their population out of poverty into the middle class. And effectively, like in terms of purchasing power parity, they're actually richer than the US. Um, and how do they do that in like such a short time? Through manufacturing. Um, Now, I'm not saying manufacturing is the only way you can become a rich country, but it's one really big way that you can become a rich country. And that happens to be stifled by people who have this, I would say, almost Gandhian mindset of let's live in a village and do a bunch of pottery and make stuff the old way, when instead we could be making stuff the new way and leapfrogging everyone. But the mindset comes from, I think, a lot of these people were trained in NID in like the 80s to 90s, and they have this mindset like, let's preserve Indian craft, blah, blah, blah. Let's Everyone needs to do it our way, in the old way, and then you can learn the new way. We'll never teach you any software tools. You have to learn it on your own. Nobody's learning that shit on their own. People are having fun in college. Um, it's not, it's just really stupid. And also, in a way, a little bit casteist. If you think about it, the people who are actually doing that work, they're perpetrating a system where people who are okay. So imagine you say you want people to do craft and everything. The the students you're teaching are maybe not the ones who are actually doing the craft. They'll go and hire someone to do it whose family has been doing that for 10 generations because of the caste system. But you are creating this necessity for them to do that same job for so long. So I think that to progress society, to make everyone richer, they need to stop perpetrating this like uh craft oriented mindset and start looking into the future. Maybe the same guy who could have been doing craft could become a mold engineer in a factory, and then could be doing like CNC tool parts for making molds or something like that, which is definitely going to earn him way more money and make more material value than weaving baskets or something like that.
So I think there are two aspects here. I really like your perspective,
Mm.
but what's really happening on ground is the cultural or like these older shoes or like uh, the designs which are there. If you're talking about pottery, I don't think either that is getting inlight or either the futuristic 3D printing or any kind of modern design is also getting inlight.
Mm.
What happening is we have mass manufacturing which is happening, and that's what is actually bought by Indians majorly,
Yeah, I know that.
right? So that's happening. Now we are pushing it towards cultural shift, yes. Neither we are reaching there fully. We are trying to get like these handcrafted, handmade, the touch of artisan and stuff. We are talking about it, and at the end of the day, that's becoming extremely expensive, but not getting to the masses again.
Mm.
And the same is happening for the futuristic. Now, here, what the problem is, bottleneck is we are not even exploring that bit as much.
Mm.
Like you're exploring because you wanted to.
Mm.
But colleges are not teaching, like pushing towards it at all.
Mm.
That becomes like the major issue, I feel.
Okay. Well, I feel like maybe my perspective might be warped by all of the examples I've seen in college of
Yeah.
all of this craft related.
But it still makes sense.
But yeah, yeah. And you also get this question like, oh, I got this question, my final project. How Indian is your design?
Oh,
I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
what did you say to that?
I was like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, what kind of answer can I give you?
So at the end of the day, everything has to be very Indian.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
No, that's what they wanted.
That's what they wanted. Yeah, that's
And then you threw this shoe at them?
no, I didn't.
You
But
should
I
have.
have
It's
it.
brilliant.
I didn't have it at the time.
Oh,
But
sure.
yeah, and this was yeah, now I can. But they it's not being a futurist is restricting our economic development. It is a danger to us, actually.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm boiling it down to R&D, where a lot of R&D needs to happen in India,
Yeah.
or you are not supported with that.
No,
You don't need to be supported with the tools and the digital tools, the physical, like mechanical tools which are required, but also the kind of people we need around us to for this kind of mindset to grow.
yeah, I would say it comes down to investors not having balls and also
Stop, take this.
yeah, for sure. And also people bureaucratic red tape, Babu's being greedy.
Oh yeah, you were talking about babus.
Yeah,
Please,
I
agree.
hate them.
Who are babus? What are
Bureaucrats,
Okay.
people who work in the customs department.
I see you faced a lot of problems there.
Yeah.
So where does the babus element come in?
So if you want to start a company or if you want to import things, Okay, suppose you want to make injection molds. Yeah, you have to get a milling machine, and that milling machine is probably not made here. It's probably made in Germany or China. And then to get that, we have to pay a bunch of taxes on it. So we are taxing our own economic development. That's a problem. And if you aren't paying taxes, you're probably paying a bribe, and that's even worse. Um, Not only does that happen, just the amount of money that these people have is completely unaudited. We don't even know how much money they have, and it's all sitting around doing nothing. Instead, it could be invested in manufacturing, invested in making jet engines or whatever the hell we actually need.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's sitting around in gold bars and land and whatnot. Also, people in general who have money in this country are a little bit risk averse. Like I said, investors don't have balls. A lot of investors in Bangalore, especially, I find with VCs, they jump on like a new trend. They're like, "Wow, we love this trend." They don't do much due diligence. They don't do thesis based investing. It's always trend based
Yes,
investing.
it's always Western versus what's happening in the West, and then adopting or adapting to that,
Yeah.
rather coming up with something new. Say, even the cultural bit, right? Like, I favor that side a lot. Like, I would love to learn something which has been there for long, but also incorporate in a way that, say, if mud or earth architecture was happening, right? So how do you actually technologically advance that in this time, but still use that concept? Because they have done some sort of research there, right? There's a proven concept to that, but then that can also be pushed. But then that kind of support which is needed to happen, uh, no, nothing's there. The
Yeah.
same thing if you go in Europe, people are throwing money in research, and you'll see the kind of research which just does not make sense. It will never be made like the conceptual art or design which you're talking about. A lot of money going into that, but then what happens is for R&D to work, and specifically why Indians do not like put money in it. In 100 designs, one will work.
Mm,
And it will take time for you to get there.
yeah.
The investment is not needed. It's not 100% to make money on it. You might not end up generating revenue on it.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. They just not.
They want money within 2 years, wherein the money will come in 8 to 10 years, but the amount of money
That'll be
will be
large.
crazy.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of money.
And recognition and actually making an impact, right? Like you're actually making change, you're pushing some towards.
I also feel like a lot of VCs are like, um, sorry to insult all the employees, but not so smart. They are, they don't take a lot of, um, they don't do a lot of research into it. And when they do research, they don't have domain specific knowledge at all. So it's like someone with a MBA who doesn't really know about design or manufacturing going and investing in what's that gaming chair startup? Kia, something like that. Um, they make really bad gaming chairs. But
Which one will you say? Rio.
Rio, yeah, really bad. But they still get VC money because they have good marketing. So everything is about marketing, hype, and
So
just like,
maybe a lot of designers should be getting into VC markets as well, no? Then they would have a little bit more understanding. But then again, the kind of mindset needs to be
yeah, you need to have a money mindset, which is very opposite from the creative mindset, I think.
correct. But I think then there should be some creative person sitting on that desk
Yeah,
who can balance both
yeah,
in a way.
yeah. Or not just a creative person, maybe like a very autistic engineer who's there. Like there's more of an overlap between VCs and engineers than
Hmm.
creators. But yes, you also do need a creative or someone who can do like large scale thinking.
Right. But then if we talk about large scale
Hmm.
3D printing,
It's not a thing yet, but it will.
why do you think it's not getting to large scale right now?
Just give it time. Give it time. It's only been what 5 years since Zellerfeld kind of started up.
I mean, 3D printing has been there, right? For a while now. It's been there for, I think, I mean, researchers that start like say 15, 20 years back. And yeah, we are
It was with
adapting towards like products for sure.
yeah, but it wasn't like Stratz's patent hell. Stratz's owned all of the patents, and it wasn't out there in the public for a long time. There was a 3D printing revolution which happened.
What's the bottleneck right now from like a scalability point of view?
For what?
Was these kind of shoes or the 3D printing generally?
Um, I don't know. I think it's probably material costs, maybe.
Is it also the kind of machines which are there in the market? Because
Yeah,
we used to like one head, one printer, right? So there you are printing one shoe at a time, or like say you are adjusting a couple of them, but then you could have like multiple heads and then
yeah. You need like 3 print heads, like 2 or 3 print heads to print through. With FDM.
so basically if you want to increase manufacturing, this is what you should be getting at.
Yeah.
And right now I think they're mostly designed for R&D, like the kind of equipments which are there in them.
Yeah, there are industrial quality printers, and they're pretty good, but they do cost quite a bit of money, and you won't see that fast return on your investment initially. I don't know. I don't think the bottleneck is there anymore. I think people are working on it. People are doing it. It'll happen. It just takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
Like this printing Zellerfeld shoe. Sorry, for the customer, a Zellerfeld shoe used to cost $380. Now I can make one for as cheap as $150 for the customer. So it's gone down quite a bit.
Right.
And $150 is like now entering the more widely available shoe range, like 12K. Obviously, you have to add customs for that, but still, it's like still entering that range.
Okay, now quick questions.
Sorry, we didn't cover your
Cover my
question list at all.
which one?
Oh,
Well, no, we did.
oh, okay, we did.
I'm not gonna go like this.
Oh, okay, okay,
It'll be
okay,
like this.
okay.
So, first question: why would you say no to a collab?
Why would I say no to a collab? Either I don't think they're going to make enough money. I don't think we would make enough money together. Or if it's like really off-brand for me, or if it's
What is our brand for you?
I don't know. Maybe it's a streetwear brand I just don't like.
What's the best fail which you've learned from?
Probably this one. Not knowing how the manufacturer will change their process while you're working on it.
Okay.
That's a big fail for sure.
Okay.
But we fixed it.
What should people remember about you?
I take a lot of time to make my shoes, and I make sure they're very perfect, or as perfect as I can get them. Unless it's for a client and they are not paying me enough.
Oh, please buy all of them.
But
All of them. I think you should have all of them just to say, okay, like he's pushing boundaries with each of them, and the tech is exploring new technology
yeah,
and brilliant designs. I mean, I don't want to put
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, next question with software.
Houdini.
Yeah, Houdini is very advanced. I think we have to sit together and you have to teach me
Yeah.
like the whole code which you showed me about.
Houdini versus Grasshopper. I feel like Grasshopper is way better for nerves. I mean, the Grasshopper can do nerves. Houdini can't do nerves.
Yeah.
And for 3D printing, you don't need nerves. You're not restricted.
Yeah, I think nicer is you can create a lot of. I think complex geometries, more number of faces can be handled very quickly and easily in Houdini.
Yeah.
Grasshopper is gonna die.
Yeah, that's the reason. And also, Houdini has voxels, and the voxels are computed by your GPU, not
Well.
by your CPU, like Grasshopper.
Right.
And Grasshopper is like one core CPU performance for most things. But for Houdini, it's all mostly multi-threaded performance, so it's like way faster. But if you need to make a shoe that's made with an injection mold, then I have to use Grasshopper. So it takes more time, but it's still nice.
Okay.
Still-
Now one question for me. Quick.
I think. What do you think about 3D printing with mud?
I mean, I have done it,
Mm.
and it is not the best thing to do. I think we are also evolving in terms of the tech, the mechanism, the print head, the end effector itself. Uh, because when you're printing with mud, they're thin layers, right? With mud, you need thick layers. Or because we don't want to burn the mud. You want to keep the mud as it is at the end.
Why don't you want to burn the mud?
You can do for like pottery and stuff. So you can't burn the whole building. I mean, they've tried. You can, but the best way would be the whole idea is recyclable. Like if I can take the mud back, put it in the earth and grow something on it, and again take if I want to make something out of it, right? The moment you burn it, then the property is gone.
I-
So regenerative property of like growing something on it gone.
Yeah.
Right. So for me personally, I wouldn't want to burn it. So then you go thicker.
Okay.
And imagine you having a huge building. How will you, after printing, burn it? I'm thinking about like the whole structure being made at once.
Mm.
So if you're going smaller, one by one, like say tiled print tiles which are printed, yes, you can fire them and then
Mhm.
place it. So that's when I did my research of impact printing, which is where you pick the material and then place it at the point and then impact, like pressurize it. So that was my research, by the way. Yeah. So that becomes like how corp structures were built for the days, but the idea of like printing with a robot. Then you can have complex geometries and multiple materials being used at the same time.
Okay.
So I can place any material, right?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Thank you for coming. Dude. Very, very exciting podcast. I love the designs, and I've told that 100 times now. So I have to cut it out a little bit, but
Okay.
brilliant design.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll actually collaborate on something. Oh, wait, last question. You also want to pivot into jewelry design.
Yes.
Because even I want to. Is there a collaboration coming up?
Yeah, I don't mind you. Let's do.